Welcome back. Welcome back. Yes. That's what I like to hear. Welcome back to Build Series. I'm your guest host, Jameer Pond, and we got a good one for you, as Steve Harvey would say. What can I say about these five ladies? Friends, inspiration to me, and a whole bunch of others. If you haven't seen them or heard their amazing podcast and you were sleeping under a rock, thousands and thousands of fans and millions of listens. I like to refer to them as Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, and Ralph. But to you, we have Gia Peppers, Bex Francois, Alysha P, Scottie Beam, and Sapphira and Black Girl Pod. Give it up for Black Girl Pod.
Hi, Jameer Pond.
How real is this? Can we just relish in the moment?
It's really insane.
I think we should.
I don't think it's set in yet. And then you giving us the new edition claim.
I mean, I've been calling you that since the beginning.
And you have to let it go. You have to let it go.
I'll never do that.
So who's Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and
Nope,
Mike?
we're not gonna do
Ralph?
that.
Okay.
We're not gonna do that.
Okay. So we have Ralph is Gia.
Ralph Tresvant.
Right.
Uh-huh.
We have Bex is Mike.
Okay.
We have
business.
Right.
Ricky as Alysha P. I'm waiting for you last.
That's right.
We have Ronnie, Sapphira M. And of course, Dance, Hustle, Bobby Brown.
That is definitely Bobby.
Scottie Beam.
You have to let that go.
I'll never let it go. It means so much to me. Okay, look, y'all. This means a lot. I was in L.A. Quick story. I was in L.A. last weekend in Leimert Park, and I went by this woman. She's a jazz musician. Her name is Barbara Morrison, and she had like a shop of all these like prestigious jazz players and singers, and they were her friends. She grew up, hung out with Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, and it just reminded me so much that, us as contemporaries, we're gonna see each other blossom and bloom and play instruments together, just like now, and see each other rise and be there for each other when we stumble. So I want to say this means so much to me that y'all asked me to host this for y'all. Ain't that good? Wasn't that good?
That was good.
Practicing that all night.
Thank you for practicing. I mean,
Love you, Jamie.
That's
My
really
tone
nice.
changed.
Grand opening.
Hey, we ain't closing yet. Okay.
Dang, can we start before we close?
Yeah. So I wanted to do an icebreaker, but we ain't had no paddles. So I figured that we can, like paddles, like, you just raise paddles like that.
I was like, who is punching?
I should clarify.
Wait a minute.
Everybody was like, hold up.
But I figured what we would do is listening to your podcast, there were words that I felt so connected and synonymous to y'all because y'all speak about it so much, and they resonated with me. So I would like to ask y'all about some words that are specific. So Alysha, okay?
I knew I was going first.
Now Alysha, like throughout BGP and even before, when we used to have conversations about therapy and healing and our experiences, they're very traumatic, and you have your glow now from then has been incredible. Talk to me a little bit about healing and what healing means to you.
Ooh, what a question. You're starting off strong.
This is what I do.
Thank you for the compliment, because I have been, like you mentioned, working on this glow since the passing of my father in 2006. If you are a Black Girl Podcast listener, you know that I talk about the passing of my father often. So in one of our recent episodes, I was able to, when we were giving our update, I mentioned that this was the first time in a long time that when someone asked me how I was doing, I was 100% able to say, I'm great. And I really, truly believe that it's been the work with therapy that I've been putting in, the help of my therapist, constantly making sure I pay attention to the patterns that I have, surrounding myself with really important people who are working on healing themselves, which is very important. Not that you can't be around someone who's not going through their own healing process or in therapy, but it's something about protecting yourself and protecting your peace while you're going through your own. Because when you're going through therapy, you're raw. It's flesh. Like, anything could trigger you. You see the wrong person, hear the wrong song, you're open. Your wounds are very, very open to anything. So you have to protect yourself from that. And just setting boundaries for myself and for other people around me, that's been super important in my last 365. And literally confiding in people that I love. My cousin Tyra is here. I call her my personal therapist. Anytime I need something, I'm calling her like, listen, I don't know what to do today. It's not going to work for me. But she'll be like, it's fine. Take a beat. And it'll be okay.
Yes.
So just putting in that self-work is very important.
Yes.
That's
and
where the
healing
glow
looks
comes from.
great on you.
Okay.
Thank you.
For real.
I appreciate it. I feel light.
Yeah.
I was very heavy for a very long time. I feel light.
Good.
Yes.
Look at Alysha
Look at me.
Fly. Okay. My good friend Scottie Beam.
Got it.
You were
Because you know what?
no, you are one of the most hardworking, beautiful, smart, and just determined people I know. Throughout your journey from me knowing you, when we used to work at MS together, you dealt with a lot of disappointment like I dealt with a lot of disappointment on bigger scales, on smaller scales. I see now, as you sit here, a more mature, emotionally sound person. How are you dealing with disappointment now? And you talk about disappointment from an array of things on the podcast, whether it's with career or family. But I'll let you address that. How are you dealing with disappointment?
So thanks to growth and thanks to going to therapy and thanks to creating boundaries is what Alysha said previously. I think I've learned to deal with life better. As far as disappointment is concerned, before I used to think when I lost an opportunity, that was it. That was the end of my road. I need to go practice something else, do something else, try something else, because I never felt or gave myself the license to feel like I am good enough in any lane. So when I started to work on myself and actually figure out, you know what, you are good enough, but there are L's. You will take some L's. You have to learn how to fail because, in order to win, you have to celebrate yourself in a different kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So in order to do that, you have to learn how to fail. So I think, now growing up, getting older, knowing that shit is not stuff is not promised.
Okay. Okay.
Stuff is
All
not
right.
promised. But I just learned to take it as it comes. You really have to roll with the punches as much as you can.
Yes.
So that's what I've learned to do.
Wow. And I'm so glad because your strength, you're so much stronger now, inside and out. So I'm super proud of you.
And I used to think that strength meant holding it in.
Yeah. Yep.
Strength meant holding back, but that's not actually strength. So with growing, I had to learn that strength actually means being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Strength actually means opening up and talking about your past and being open to having new people come in and help you and help themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I think now, it's the best time
I love it.
to grow.
I hear that. All right. Bex Francois.
Wait, can we get some tissue?
Oh, can we get
G?
some
Tissue. My
Yeah.
eyes are just done.
Oh, can we have some tissue, please?
I think it's my
All right, thank you. Oh, yeah, I don't need.
You see
Oh,
that?
yeah. It's all right.
Anyway, back to your
still look
questioning.
good. You look good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kick that
out.
over.
Here we go.
The ghetto.
Here we go.
Bex,
Yes.
from knowing you prior again, and seeing your growth and your change, I can definitely say that love has entered your life. From a person and just a love of life, I think that you are walking in your purpose now, and you're a lot stronger, And I love to see how love has hit your heart. Tell me about love and what that means to you right now.
Love was for me for a while was void. And that's because I was very fearful of it because I came from a place of disappointment, it not being the common language in the house, which is to no one's fault, or just not being normal for me. And I, in going through a lot of the things that I went through in life and trying to grow and push, I realized that was like a big part that was missing in my equation for me to progress. And I had to stop, stand still, and try my best to look at it square dead in the face. And I've learned that a lot of, when you speak about love, what it means is just letting go. Letting go and allowing. Not blocking myself from any blessings, not blocking myself even from me. Like opening up and seeing myself, loving myself, taking care of myself, speaking better to myself, and then pressing that onward to other people in my life that I love as well. And realizing how, like you said, in living life, how hurtful it would be, to know that tomorrow isn't guaranteed, even the rest of the evening isn't guaranteed. And I didn't take the leap to love myself or to love people in my life that love me deeply. So it's ongoing. It's necessary, but it's ongoing. I feel it more days than not, but it's still an ongoing journey for me.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate the people in my life who have shown me what that looks and feels like. And that's it.
Here it is. That's where the tears start. Right in that little corner. But no, love also looks great on you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Gia,
Yeah,
you were one of the most talented people I know. We had a show together.
we did.
Black Coffee.
Black coffee.
But as a professional, I just saw no chinks in your armor, but getting to know you, loss of your godmother, really hit home for you, and I started to see more of who you were as a person. How have you been dealing with loss?
Well, first my eyes was watering.
I know.
I had allergies, but now you're trying to make me cry. Okay.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
No, you know what it is? My godmother, she always made me feel loved no matter what. And there was a time in my life, especially as a child, and I think there needs to be a lot of studies done about like when you're the oldest in a family and then they keep bringing home kids. Not that I don't love them now, but when you're younger, right, you don't understand it. So I'm the oldest. I'm living life. I'm the center. I'm like, life is good. And then they bring all these kids, and I'm like, you can take them back. I don't know.
Put them back.
Okay, they're great, but y'all spending a lot of time. But I do think when I do have my own children, I just think I will do a little more with like my oldest, like make sure that she understands that like she hasn't been like forgotten, or like you understand that there's sharing that happens there. That's not, you have to teach people that when they're too young to get it, it's hard for them, right? And so when I grew up, I was always like, there's got to be one person that's just for me, and I feel like my godmother always made me feel like, okay, baby, like I know you're my godchild. I love them, but you're my godchild. So what's going on with you, right? In ways that my parents couldn't do, because you can't make one child feel more special than the other. And so for me, when she left this earth, it felt like I lost. When you have like a sphere right around you of protection. It felt like I had like a quarter that was open, and so I was like, "Woo!" It's so raw. Like, you just have to walk through it, and you have to figure out how to rebuild that love for yourself, how to find it in other people, and then also understand that, like, it'll never be fully filled. Like, it'll never feel like somebody is stepping into that place. But what it can do is I feel grief is the final act of love. Yes. And I think Lauren London said it when Nipsey passed, and I just felt her when she said that. But when you grieve someone, that means you loved them. That means that they meant something to you, that their impact like stayed with you and is going to stay on you. So for me, with my godmother, it's always been about loving as she loved. So like, even if I feel like, everybody has this like perception of someone, I'm like, well, I don't know that person to be like that. Let me love on them either way. Right. And loving myself, like getting to know myself, like even in all my flaws and all the things that, I am learning that I am. I think just continuously loving myself. And then with this Kobe loss, I think a lot of people are dealing with it in different ways. Some people want to engage with the content. I know people who are like, I won't sign online until like this passes because it's too much for me. But for me, like hearing that news just made it realize how quickly life can end. And so now, like, I'm like, all right, it's a wake up call again to be like, yo, this is the this could be the last post you post. Like, as crazy
It's
and as
surreal.
like weird as that
Yeah.
sounds, like this could be the last day you have. Like, that's when you think like that, it's like, okay, let me not waste time like acting like I don't know how important and sacred life is.
Yeah.
And so for me, loss has been a really big teacher, a very important teacher, one that I would not wish on anybody, but it is life
Yeah.
and it happens. And so I'm like, okay, we all got to figure it out. We're all still here for a reason.
Yes.
So I just try to remember that and live in my purpose. And it's an everyday thing.
You killing it.
But we
You doing
trying.
your thing,
Hallelujah,
yeah.
Jesus.
Okay.
Trying to make my godmother proud.
Hey. Hear that. Sapphira, my friend.
Hi, Jamie.
Hey. One thing that I can say about you is that you have blossomed since I've known you to now into a woman who is broken out of her, and we can relate to this because we try to make our mothers proud all the time, living for our mom, Scottie, as well. But your growth, physically, mentally, and emotionally, I mean, what waste? What waste?
Where?
What waste?
Where?
There's no waste. What can you tell? What can you
Thank
tell?
you.
No problem. What can you tell me about growth and what that means to you?
Thank you, first of all, for everything that you just said. Growth and what that means to me, I feel the growth. It's still a work in progress. There are days that I don't feel as accomplished or as, grown as I should, for lack of better words. But how I feel about growth is that it's interchangeable, one, and it's going to happen whether you like it or not. So it's one of those things for me where it's always been like, either you're going to get on the bus or you're going to get left. So in all the things that have gotten me to this moment, I guess, they have helped to grow, helped to, really enhance me to be the woman I am, and I'm grateful for them. So
Yes.
that's my little spiel.
It looks really great.
Thank you.
Looks really great on all of you. Growth. Because when you started 3 years ago, by the way, right? 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Going on 4?
No, is it going
No,
on
I'm asking-
4?
Nah.
This year is 4.
This year will be 4. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
2016.
You don't know.
You don't know.
It's like school again.
It is.
It's like school
It's
again.
the
like
senior
we're-
year.
Yeah.
College.
It's actually-
Something.
Yeah. And so with 65 episodes under your belt, how has the podcast grown and matured
Oh man.
from then to now? I heard their first demo.
Yeah.
First
So
demo.
Wow.
I remember
So
that.
I know.
Rough.
First of all, I think I sent it to you. So
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
But how we have grown, first of all, 10 million times. We were all like preemies, babies in this industry at Hot 97 in that picture.
Look at that.
And
I know.
we just decided like
There.
we should do this. Well, let me backtrack, because every time we tell this story, Alysha always points it my way, so I'm gonna do this real quick. We were all in the digital department working in our respective positions, and we were always there from 5 a.m. to God knows when.
Yeah.
5 a.m. the next day.
And 5 a.m. to God knows
People
when.
were sleeping there.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally.
And we were always talking, like, hello, we're the beautiful black girls of Hot 97. No shade.
Well.
And there are so many others there too. So shout out to everybody that's still working at Emmis.
Yeah.
We love y'all. But we were young. We were all in a group chat together. And one day I was dealing with an ex-boyfriend situation, and the girls, like your true girls are supposed to do, got in on me. Like, why are you talking to him? What's going on? And Ebro Darden of the morning show was sitting there, and he was like, look at this. He was on Snap. He was like, look at this. This should be the Black Women's Podcast. Y'all should make a podcast. And it was like light bulbs just went over all of our heads in that very moment. And then maybe weeks passed, and we're like, hey, we should really record something.
You were like, hey. You were like, hey.
I mean, did we not all agree to it, though?
Yes, I mean,
Well,
I'm
well,
saying you're the
well.
one-
Everybody agreed.
Well,
I'm saying you're the reason.
Yeah, but I didn't actually want to because I didn't listen to podcasts.
The more you
Remember?
know.
Yeah,
no,
I
the
didn't
more you
want
know.
to do it because I was like, what are we going to talk about? What are we gonna, like,
And
'cause
at the
I felt like if we had to do this, we had to be extremely open. We had to be completely different from any other podcast.
Yeah.
And gain a real following. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, how are we going to do all this? We can't do that. And back then I was very, very pessimistic. So thank you. Thanks to like Sapphira. No, I was, but thanks to Sapphira and Alysha and Rebecca and Gia.
And all 5 of us.
Probably all of y'all.
No, all of them.
Yeah.
They really made it happen. It
But
was
to
amazing.
piggyback off what you said, at the time, podcasts were really saturated at the time.
Yeah.
Every week, it was like a new podcast. And we had concerns of it being 5 people on the mic, concern if we were going to be too loud, concern if we would overtalk each other. I mean, we kind of did at the beginning, but
Yeah,
we
we
got
had to learn.
together. But it was still all a learning experience.
Yeah.
And the reason why I said you did is because you were the constant person that was like, no, we have to do this. Let's at least try.
Because look, 3 years later.
Right.
I'm psychic.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's been incredible seeing you all blossom and grow as women, as a brand. You guys have been to Complex Con, Essence Fest, so many just places, and I'm just so thankful to be here and to celebrate you all. We have a tweet. We got a tweet that I would like to
got a
read.
tweet.
Boom.
I love her.
I love Sephora. At Love
Hey,
Sephora
girl.
said, "What would you say to another black girl looking to start a podcast or searching for?" Oh, okay, it's not there. I was always like, it's gonna flip. Or searching for her lane creatively. What would y'all say? Yeah.
Do it.
Leap,
Right.
leap, just start.
Yeah.
And as far as your lane, be entirely yourself.
Mm.
Put your blinders on and be entirely yourself. That's exactly how you're gonna win, for yourself first, and then for those that relate to you there and after.
Yeah.
Don't second guess your craft and compare your craft to other people, because
That's a
your
good one.
purpose, your skill set, your talent is solely yours, and it's okay for you to look different than someone else's. That's what makes yours special. That's something that I constantly struggle with as, a budding filmmaker, always just seeing how other people are doing it, or should I keep up? Should I do this? And thankful for people like Carl Ferguson, who reminds me constantly, like, don't worry about your work. Don't worry about anybody else's work.
Yeah.
Focus on yourself, focus on your time, and get it done. So just
Yes.
like she said, blinders on, keep it going.
Shameless
Carl
plug.
Ferguson.
Shameless
Carl,
plug.
we love Carl.
love Carl.
Good show, Carl
Yes, we love
Big
Ferguson.
Carl fans over here.
We
Go
love
Carl. Go Carl.
It's so
Carl's
good.
the man. We
Um,
wanted to give them a live show.
I wanted-
That is what we are giving them.
Got a little dancing, little singing, little.
Oh, wait,
Little
one more
soft
thing, though.
Oh, yeah, one more.
Kind of write down or jot down who you are and who are you making this podcast for.
That's a, yeah.
Be very clear, you know what I'm saying, as to who you are speaking to and what you are speaking about. And with that, you have to know who you are. Like, at least a piece. I mean, we grow and we love new things. But for right now, who are you speaking to? And if you're speaking to yourself, who are you?
Mm.
So, yeah, that's
Deep.
big.
Who are
Black
you?
History Month. All right.
I'll
We have
say-
a.
I was gonna say one more thing.
Go
'Cause
ahead.
A lot of times people think that doing a podcast you have to have studio equipment and you have to book time.
Girl.
Because it's the 5 of us, yes, we do got to get together because we can't be sounding janky.
Hmm.
But iPhones are amazing for a single person podcast.
And Android.
Laptops.
And what?
I'm sorry, what?
Continue.
Yes,
No,
thank
but
you.
seriously. in
Green
all
bubble,
seriousness,
Jameer.
What's that?
You can just record your podcast, your first podcast, on the voice memos, clean it up on your laptop, and you good to go.
Yeah.
And they even have apps for it.
Yes.
Like they have
Facts.
different apps that you can actually create a podcast for.
Yeah.
So,
Garage
girl,
band's still a thing.
look, start it.
All right, at Love Sephora. All right, we have time for a few audience questions, like 2 quick audience. Does anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Grace, and I just wanted to say, like, first and foremost, thank you for just being so, like, vulnerable and honest and open today and on your podcast. And I just wanted to ask, like, where, you just shared about why you started the podcast, but what has kind of changed over your podcast and in your life that you didn't really expect over
a
the
good
past 3
question.
years?
Question.
Quitting. I think quitting my job was different for me, I think, and I think everybody started leaving the ship.
Well,
Well, you were first.
technically, I left first.
You left
They,
first.
they threw you out. Yeah.
They kicked me out.
Yeah.
That's out.
I'm still kicked out.
Wow.
No, I think quitting my job was big for me. And what was I going to talk about now? And if I still was going to do what I do, and could I survive out here leaving the nest? I've been there since I was 7 years old. You know what I'm saying? So that was my nest. That was my home. So leaving there, I was completely uncomfortable and did not know if I could still talk about things, if people still trusted me to talk about things. So yeah, that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, I remember that. It was huge.
I feel like for me, there is so much that you have to unlearn about yourself and then relearn again, and listening back to episodes and seeing and hearing how you react to things, or how your perspective comes off, or how sheltered you might have been to certain things, or just how much of a facade you do put up. Like unlearning that, peeling that back, allowing being wrong and being loud and wrong, and then learning what's right, but also what's right for you, and also like your beliefs, like understanding like how to stand on your beliefs, and then if someone pokes in a hole in it, do you truly believe that? Like, is that something that you would stand on, die on? Is that something for real, or are you just saying it because you were raised to believe that? So for me, it was a lot of. We had Dr. Jess on, and she was like, this is group therapy. Like, if you actually think about it, this is you guys sharing what you guys are going through. We cry on the podcast. We pray on the podcast. We speak over each other on the podcast, speak life over each other on the podcast. Like, we don't just, do this for fun. We do it to live. Like, in a way, this is a group therapy for us. So I think all of us have seen so many internal changes where we're stronger versions of ourselves because of this. And it's cool because when we're like, 80, we can be like, girl, when we used to have like a 20-year-old granddaughter, girl, listen to Faith. Girl, listen to Faith. Your grandmother already went through that, baby, okay? I said this prayer, and then I cried for the rest of the year, but it worked.
Right. I think what has been really cool and interesting to learn is that there are people out there just like you. And there are people who sit next to you while you produce these things that are just like you. And something that I always like talk about or like laugh about, lean on, is like when me and Scottie were working at Emmis at the same time, we were literally going through breakups together. And being able to like remember, just play that back in your head and remember like, wow, I got through that with another one of my homegirls. Like we really was in the back crying, looking stupid, but look at me now.
Yeah.
You know, and then you think about all the conversations, like Gia was saying, that we do have on our show. Sometimes, truth be told, sometimes there are weeks we don't get to speak to each other because of our schedules, because of how we work. But honestly, when we come together and we record an episode, finally, sorry, Twitter people, but when we do come together and finally record an episode, it's good to really learn from one another, catch up on what we've been doing for the last 2 months. I mean, just listen to the last couple of episodes. Alysha's been to Ghana. Bex has been on 10 campaign trails.
Absolutely.
Like, Gia's been killing red carpets. Scottie's, like, we all are doing things that are inspiring each other. So it's like some real forced out tribe.
Forced out tribe.
You know?
Okay.
I think for me, it's 2 things, but I'll probably just speak more to awareness. It's just more of a sense of self that I didn't know I would gain from that, from the podcast, from recording. Like you said, like even mentioning Ghana, for me, Black History Month this year has a completely different meaning because I was able to travel, because I let my fair side to travel. Just knowing that I am capable, these are all things that I think I learned through the podcast about myself. And I think accountability plays hand in hand with that as well. So if I say one thing on the podcast and I don't show up for myself outside of the podcast, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to fix? Or is it not me? Is it someone that I'm talking to? Is it a friend of mine? What is it? So I think accountability and awareness has been able to allow me to really see, like, clarity. When I first mentioned wanting to go to therapy, I remember when I was looking through the searches and the bios, I was looking for stuckness, like helping someone remove themselves out of feeling stuck. That was what was important to me. And I think through the podcast, I have been able to do that.
Wow.
You actually took that right out, the accountability, because what this podcast was able to do for me, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but like you see yourself in a way that you have never seen yourself before. Like a diary won't show you, even a mirror won't show you. Like there's something that's documented and will live on forever. We've even talked about forever and like how crazy that is that this will exist beyond us. And it is that accountability of like, I said this on 35, now we're at 50. So episodes.
Wow. Yeah.
So now what's up?
Yeah.
Like you had the time to X, Y, and Z. Have you held yourself accountable to what you said? Right. And then also the discernment to have courage to change your mind and to know that you are always evolving. You're not going to know yourself in 1 week, in 1 month, in 1 year. But then also learning to know yourself better so that when you do change your mind, you stand in that. The way what Gia was saying, you stand in that and you're very confident in that, and you get to know yourself more, and then you just. It's just all like a blessing of a growth process that I would have never thought any one of us would have been part of or had the opportunity to experience. It's really insane.
Yeah. Let's get one more question. We have time for one more.
Dang.
Oh, it's
Oh, you going?
I'm not picking because I don't want to get cut. Okay. Sir in the front.
Oh, she had the mic, but
Oh,
but you the big ball.
Wait, all right, we'll go. All right.
Okay,
on.
2 more.
Hey, ladies.
Hi.
I know you all travel a lot with your podcast doing live events, and I just wanted to know what has been your most memorable experience or stop, and where do you want to go in the future?
That's a good question.
Nola.
I think for me was minding my business in Paris.
Wait,
Literally
what?
minding my business in Paris.
Is it a collective or it's individual? Yeah. That's why I said
I
Nola.
think she said together.
That's why I said Nola.
Together or
As
each
a
of us?
unit, y'all.
Now
Exactly.
y'all see what happens in the
Yeah.
studio.
Well,
when we have to
You put on leather and it's just the Alysha. No. About you.
don't you start. Okay, together. Sorry.
Nola.
Nola.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the only real time we actually
No, we went to
traveled.
Atlanta.
We went to
Atlanta. Well,
we went
those
to-
are 2 times.
We went to
We
LA,
were LA.
too, guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let Rebecca take this
Yeah.
one away. Take
Wow,
it away.
I know, wow.
Whatever. No,
Hey, my name's
hours.
Gia.
I think-
This is Rebecca. This is Sapphira.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
welcome to the show.
Podcast.
We have a
First day.
podcast.
This is my first day.
No, I definitely Nola the second,
same.
the first night into the second day of our
Yes,
live
God.
show.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shatterax. That was quite an evening.
An episode, by the way. You can check
That is an
That is
episode,
episode.
Shatterax.
That is
That
an
was-
episode. Thank you, everyone.
But
Nah, Nola was real. I'm sorry. Do you
know what I was gonna say? I think so. What happens is when you work with your friends, eventually work starts to be like all y'all talk about. And I think that night, we were able to be like those 5 girls from Hot 97 again, who were silly and like would come in the office and laugh with you and joke and act crazy and twerk and be out
And drive
in the
boats.
streets. And we were all, there was some driving of the boat.
Quick to drive a boat.
There was
Scott?
there was some driving of the boats. There was some
Scott.
stoppage of the boats driving.
Yeah.
Tried to
Thank
stop
you.
it because too many boats. But I do think, but yeah, we were able to be just friends again. And I think that is like such a beautiful thing, like to remind us why we are here as this collective. Like none of us have met each other by accident. I think that's the coolest part of it is like we were chosen for this journey and the 5 of us that we get to enter it all together is a beautiful thing. And so I think our friendship is really dope because while it has become about the podcast because it's bigger than us, it's always a blessing when we can just be ourselves and twerk and not talk about the next episode. Like
And
we just be
I
ourselves.
agree. I feel like I learned about everybody on that trip. Gia was really funny on that trip.
You mentioned that on the podcast.
She was hilarious, and that's so beautiful to see. And I think you mentioned it before. You were able to let your guard down, and like an on-air personality that you are, sometimes you have to be so clean cut and buttoned up and proper. And you just to see you in that space I was cracking up every single moment you spoke. It was funny.
Thank you.
And I think, just seeing us in just our element of actually being friends, because when we meet up, it's to record. So outside of recording, outside of killing our 2 shows that we did out there, we had a good time just bonding.
Yeah.
The first show was way better than the second.
Oh
We
yeah.
had a little fun the first.
Honestly, I'm sitting here thinking because if everyone goes back and listens to that episode in particular, you'll know why it's named what it named and all that good stuff. Anyway, this podcast, for me personally, it just allows you to be yourself. And I think every time we travel, it gets bigger and better, like that we can share being ourselves in real life, in person with the people who actually listen to us. It's like, it's fun. It's like this is the funnest job ever. Like, and it's not even a job, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Right. And I also think that doing these lives, this was the first time in my life I have seen myself in other people.
Yeah, wow.
A lot of the time after the show, you get we get a sea of Black women looking and telling us their stories and how they discovered us and what made them, change their mind as to like certain things or doing certain things, making different decisions, better decisions, healthier decisions, or whatever it is. But I think a lot of that time I'm looking at that person and I'm saying, wow, like I can finally see myself. And a lot of the times I don't feel that way. Before, way back, I never felt that way. But to sit amongst these amazing women and know that they all have a similar experience is enough for me to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what I love most about doing the show and also doing the lives.
Yes. Incredible. We gotta unfortunately wrap this.
I
know. I'm just telling you what the people tell me.
Fine. We just have to come
Bills
back.
have to be paid. Yes, we will have to come back. But I want to thank Gia Peppers, Bex Francois, Alysha P, Scottie Beam, and Sapphira M. Black Girl Podcast. Please give a round of applause for these amazing women.
Thank you, Jameer
Thank
Paul.